David?
Wing it,
Do we even
Ryan.
know?
We wing it.
Fucking on cardboard boxes right now. Dave's fucking in a room filled with murderous animals. I barely ate dinner today.
Live back for the first time in a long time. Couple weeks. I had to move. I had to move a whole house. I don't know how many people. Load up the chats here. I don't know how many people here have had to move as an adult. It's a lot different when you move as a child. I've done it as an adult twice now. When you move as a child, everybody just does everything, and then you just fucking here we are, and we're here. And I used to hate moving as a kid just because I don't know, I did it so often and you get used to it after a while, I guess. But when I was a kid, I fucking moved. Holy shit. 20, 30 times. Like it was crazy. It was crazy. It was once a year or more for sure. Like it was the all the time. And then my dad and my mom split, so they were moving separately all the time. So it was like new places all the time, all the time. It was absurd. As an adult, when you move, you have to do everything, and it sucks. It sucked because I knew we had a lot of shit. Like I blame
Dude,
Edie.
you never realize how much shit you really have till you try moving it all in one day, and you're
I
like, "This just
truly,
isn't happening.
I think if I
This
had
is
to
gonna take
move,
5 days."
I think if I had to move myself, like when I moved to from my apartment to my first house, all I did was throw out pretty much everything and start from scratch. Way better than what I did this time. Taking shit with you is stupid. Don't do it. If you're planning a move as an adult, throw all your shit out, sell whatever
Just
you can.
throw
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If you have sentimental stuff, bring some sentimental stuff. You can get new stuff. Who cares? Who cares about all this shit? Terrible. So I don't recommend it. Currently, the one thing I do miss about the old house for sure is the studio because this is like somebody's old hunting room that like I took the floor out of it. Sorry if I'm making everyone dizzy. I pulled the floor because it had some old ass carpet in here. God knows what. So it's something.
Last Supper.
It's
Does
something
it
for
smell like
sure.
1980s in there? Because it looks like it.
It yeah, I think this was probably way before the 80s. But if anyone
No,
needs
like,
like
I mean, like, the air in there is from the '80s.
we've aired it out pretty well in here.
It looks like
So
grandpa just smoked cigars in there.
I do certainly need to make this a studio. It's gonna take some time because we're also going through, believe it or not, the house has some decent land. You know, biggest selling point, I guess. So, but believe it or not, I have to redo the whole house because the whole house is pretty much this. And it's not bad. It's structural. It's a big stone house. It's not falling over or anything, but holy shit, is it stuck in the past? It's gonna take some time, Ryan. Who would I be though, Ryan, if I didn't redo the studio first?
Wait till I get my studio.
Ryan, it's been a long time. Where is your studio? You're in a different room or house pretty much every week.
Yeah, studio goes with you, brother. I don't know if you know that.
You're a fan of the traveling studio. That's enough talk about me as an adult moving
Nomadic studio.
and nomadic studios. In the couple weeks where I was moving, what happened politically, I have gotten lost in because I haven't been following it because I had so much shit to do. I know it's in good hands. Old Trump's got it. Uh, I do know there's been some final confirmations. RFK Jr.'s officially in there. Tulsi's officially in there. Cash Patel's officially in there. Pete Hegseth is officially in there. They're all in there doing their thing. But one thing that I did have time during all the move, the Four Nations tournament. This is hockey now. My understanding is well because hold on,
I got
hold
time
on.
for politics, but
Well,
hockey?
but the reason I stayed up in this so much is because of the politics. I'll explain.
Okay, okay.
So the Four Nations tournament is the thing the NHL did. Now the NFL, the NBA, MLB, they all have all-star games. NFL has the Pro Bowl, whatever. And they're all a joke. The NBA All-Star game, like it's fun, whatever. But the Pro Bowl turned into literal flag football. nobody takes it seriously. Nobody takes the All-Star game seriously. It's a joke. The NHL was the same way. They had their All-Star games. And it was the same thing. I don't mind, whatever. Everyone's having fun. The skills competitions and stuff are kind of cool, but like the game itself is shit. Nobody cares. Nobody tries. What the NHL did, which is amazing, is they said, let's replace the All-Star game with something competitive. So they did what was called the Four Nations tournament. So Canada, US, Sweden, and Finland, I think, were the four nations, and they competed in a nationwide tournament. So all the players, their nationalities, they would play for that team.
Sounds racist.
Trump, being Trump, made this interesting. Look, let me give him
Only
credit.
Trump could fuck with hockey, dude.
Let me give the Four Nations tournament credit. The players played for their country, which I fucking love. That's what made it fun, because when you go from a competitive form of the sport that you play and you go to an all-star game where you're just fucking around and having a good time, there's no competition in the game, which kind of ruins the game. Like I said, the skills competitions are cool, but the game itself is useless. When you switch that from the all-star game to a national-based competition, you realized everyone, I think, naturally is a little bit nationalistic. Everyone wants to do well for their country, which is something interesting because people try to pretend to be, borders are just,
Inclusive.
yeah, people try to do all these things, right? But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people truly do, like when the Olympics are on, even the most terrible person that you can think of, just the most, like if you were in the same room as this person, you could not stand to have a conversation with them. Even that person is rooting for their country during the Olympics. Okay. The Four Nations tournament had that too. And the players, you could tell they wanted to play for their country. So it made the competition incredible. Like the games were outstanding. It was great. Trump, just before the Four Nations hit, had tariff talks with Canada in Canadian goods, and Trudeau was trying to be a tough guy and talking back. And it made the US versus Canada games incredible. The first US versus Canada game was in Canada, and the fans booed the Canadian fans booed our national anthem. So what happened? What happened? In 9 seconds, there were 3 separate fights. The United States threw hands. Fucking outstanding. Could you imagine a Pro Bowl where people are fighting? No chance. And then the United States won that game in Canada, right? Which was incredible. Canada ended up winning the tournament. Trudeau again came back and said, "You can't take our game." Canada said, "You can't take our game, and you can't take our country." So that's why I followed that as closely as I did, because I knew it was going to be greater than hockey. But I also did truly think it was kind of interesting to watch everybody just, this kind of goes back to my thing too, where athletes aren't, if an athlete publicly is liberal, I don't buy it. I've said this on the program many times. And when when this tournament hit, it was so obvious. These people are nationalists, Ryan. They're nationalists. Look how hard they fought for their country. Why wouldn't you if you didn't think your country was better and you wanted to put on a good show for your country?
Dude, I almost wonder if some of these hockey players like send Instagram messages to each other, just talking mad shit before a game, and then you fucking show up and just whoop each other's ass for a straight 45 minutes.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
dude, I don't know. It's very interesting that like you even said it that it was like beyond hockey. This is Trump has now fucked with two sports.
It was good. It was
I
good
think it's
competition. Good sport.
I just think it speaks to the vitriol that we're all kind of chasing, like that little bit of glory that there is in the everyday mundane. Because Dave, to your point about the All-Star game, it's almost like those players just have fatigue or they don't want to hurt themselves because of whatever, right? But still like play fatigue.
Well,
Like,
sure.
"Oh, I
Well,
just played a whole season."
that is the thing though. Like maybe not as much in the NFL, but of course you don't want to hurt yourself doing something that really doesn't matter. But for the All-Star games, it's like your main priority, right, is staying healthy for your team so you can help your team win, right? And if you're at the All-Star game, obviously you're a big part of your team winning. It switched completely when they played for the country because what's the main priority? Not playing for your
The
team.
country.
It's playing for your team, your country is the
Yeah,
ultimate
it's
team.
playing for all the teams in the country, yeah.
It is playing for the
It's the
ultimate
meta
team.
country.
So it
Yeah, the
changes
meta
the
team.
hierarchy completely because
Mhm.
because you're going to play for the United States way more than you're going to play for any NHL team because that's your country, right? Or vice, for Canada or Finland or Sweden, any of them are going to play for their country way harder. They're going to play for their own team. So it completely flipped it on its head. It was actually really well done. You can't. I don't think you could do it in other sports though, because in other sports it's so dominated by the United States, like the player base. The NFL, I mean, could you make a Canadian team? There's no way there's even enough players to have a Canadian team. It would be like the United you'd have to do it like break up the United States into sections and do like Northeast versus Northwest versus Southeast versus Southwest or something. Like you would have to completely do it differently in the NFL. So, and with basketball, there's some foreign players, but still, it's definitely mostly United States players. I don't think you could do it in other sports. Hockey is a unique sport. It really is completely global. The NFL's trying to be in Europe. They're trying to be, but like it's not the same thing.
Why did hockey take off at a global level? They just invested in doing that sooner than the, NFL did, for example?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I have never understood why. Like, you see that a little bit in baseball too. Like, there's a lot of different, like, there's a lot of Japanese baseball players. There's a lot of, I'm just gonna blanket statement because it's from many different nations, but there's a lot of Hispanic baseball players, a lot of Asian baseball
Mhm.
players from different nations, and you see a lot of different hockey players too. But like the NFL and NBA, for what, and like I said, the NBA does still have players from other nations, but it's not that many. I don't know. I don't know why hockey is that way. Why it's so global. I
Yeah,
also
maybe it's just
find
more palatable,
I also found it
kinda like how
interesting.
soccer's the world's largest
Like
game.
I know it was the four nations, but like there's a lot of Russian hockey players. It was interesting. They didn't choose Russia, Ryan. I wonder why.
I think Russia was not invited, David.
One of the greatest hockey players of all time who is still playing is Russian.
Wait,
Uh, Alex
who?
Ovechkin. He's gonna break
Ovechkin.
Wayne Gretzky's record for goals.
Will he
He's nowhere
really?
near. Yeah, oh yeah. He's nowhere near points. No one will ever touch Gretzky point. That's fucking absurd. It's like thousands. It's crazy.
Goals, though.
Goals Ovechkin's gonna get him. He's like 20 or 30 away. Um,
Wow, dude. And then we'll probably never see that again, right? Like, fuck.
I don't know how you would. I really don't.
That guy was that good.
You have to average like I don't remember what the number is. It's like I want to say it's around 900. So think of how many goals you have to average per season. If you're playing on average 15 seasons, like you really got to rack them up. That's a
Yeah, what's
lot.
the point? Like an assist and then a goal is something else.
Well, a goal. So goals are tracked as an individual stat. Assists are tracked as an individual stat, and points are either goals or assists.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Yeah, but
Dude, the
y-
thought of having that many assists is also crazy too, because it's like you're literally setting up a play to get a point. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know it was that
In the
great. I know what Wayne Gretzky was that great, but to hear it put that way is crazy.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember how many points he had, but I think it's way over 2,000. Like it's a lot. So that was that. But again, it kind of reinforced when Trump took over. It's interesting because everyone always, especially growing up like us in Buffalo, right? We grew up so close to the Canadian border, and everyone always thought that the United States and Canada were such great allies. And I'm not saying we aren't, but the one thing I love about the Trump presidency, and when I say that, I mean it's literally the one thing I love about it. Like, there's a lot of things I like, but the one thing I love is that Trump is so hell bent on making it very obvious that the United States is the top tier nation. It is the only nation that can be called the number one nation, and everyone is chasing us, and no one is close. I love that so much. I love going into it, uh, going into the NATO meetings and telling them, "Listen, step your shit up. You're getting it up to 5%. We're not providing your military for free. That's not how this works. We'll bounce. We don't care. Like, with this, NATO does nothing for us. We'll get the fuck out. It doesn't matter." And you see that a little bit with Canada when Trump had these tariffs. It wasn't. It's not an act of war to put a tariff on a nation. We're saying, listen, you're riding our coattails to success, and we're not having it anymore. It's not fair that the people of the United States always take a backseat to other nations. I would love to go to a strict, completely strict, and I mean completely strict. If there was a tax dollar produced by a tax-paying citizen, if we collect that, it is spent in the United States. And from there, we can get discretionary and try to figure out what we're doing. But it's spent in the United States, nowhere else. It's not spent in Canada. It's not spent in fucking Ukraine. It's not spent in Israel. I don't care. It's spent here. It's the United States tax dollar. This is where it goes. That should be the most, I think I've said this on the show too. That should be the most agreeable statement you can make. How could
Why
you
build schools here when
possibly
you can build them in Iraq, David?
how could you possibly argue against that? What is the good logic for that?
Well, this is what some of what the Doge stuff is exposing, right? Because we're seeing. I heard Elon. Oh man, it might have been 2 weeks ago, but he said that this is what people voted for was mass accountability in government from government corruption, and that's what we're doing. And we caught him. Trump was like, "We got him. We got him in corruption." He's like, "I can file appeals," and he's like, "But they've been basically stealing billions of dollars through no big contracts and everything else." They caught him money laundering and stealing from the American people. They caught
Let
him.
me let me pull this up real quick because
You know what I'm talking
this
about.
this is Elon Musk tweeting this out, right? Consistent with President at real Donald Trump's instructions, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as resignation. So, federally, an email went out to federal employees, right? And it said, basically, what 5 things did you accomplish last week? 5. Just list 5. Just list 5 things you did. Respond with 5 things you did in a week. It doesn't sound like a high bar to me personally, and maybe maybe it is a high bar, but, like, I gotta tell you, if I only got 5 things done in a week, I would be fired.
5 things done in a day, you'd be fired.
5. R Oh, Ryan, I'm gonna need you to, email me 5 things you did last week. Well, I wired up, one 220 line,
You know what's crazy?
and,
Isn't like work
like you can't come up with
supposed to be
5, man?
self-explanatory? Yeah. Like if I have to check in with 5 things, like it's obvious that the work I'm doing isn't even noticeable.
Well, that's true. If you're not setting the world on fire, if people don't know you're doing 5 things and I need an email from you to even see what you did, like, what obviously, whatever you did didn't fucking matter.
Yeah, dude. Fruits bear labor, you know?
But that is the kinda thing we're looking for from Doge. Um, I love and this is what happens when you have a billionaire, private sector guy coming in and taking over. This is the kinda shit you get because this is what you have in the private sector. You have something the government isn't used to, it's accountability.
Yeah, it's weird, man. People are flipping. I've had a couple conversations with people and they just the egg thing was brought up, David. I heard it. Eggs are $6.
I've seen shit all over the place, and I don't know if some people are $6 isn't the craziest thing on earth. It's expensive, but some people were posting eggs that were like 13, 14, $15 for a dozen. And I'm like, where is this? Because I go to Walmart and I see $4. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I'm in Pennsylvania and maybe in California it's more expensive. I get it.
Well, maybe those eggs had to travel across the country, David, and that's why they're more expensive.
15 $15 eggs. Every time I go, I started doing this actually when you were asking for the price of Cheerios. I just started checking out the prices of shit. More shit that I wouldn't buy.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, like what I usually do when I go to the store, if I'm grocery shopping, right? I know I need certain things. So I grab milk and I don't grab eggs because I have chickens. But if I wanted eggs, say, I'd throw eggs in there and I'd throw milk in there and I'd grab some bread and I'd grab a couple other things, whatever. I get all the shit I need. I'm not looking individually. I scan it all out, right? Because people don't work at grocery stores. I have to do it. And it comes up and it's like $70. And I'm like, fuck, that seems expensive and $70. And well, I scanned it and I pay it because I need to eat, right? So then I leave and I throw everything out. I don't even look at the receipt. Like it's whatever. It's $70. I needed to eat. You know what I mean? I don't care. But I have started looking now, and it's crazier than seeing the $70 at the end is seeing what each individual thing costs because some things are absurdly expensive.
Like $15 for like
Dude, have you bought orange juice recently?
no, David, I buy oranges. Probably cheaper than orange juice.
I like good orange juice, Ryan.
There's no such thing as good
There
orange
is
juice, David.
there is such thing as good orange juice.
Do you make it yourself?
Simply Orange is delicious, Ryan.
Dave,
Delicious.
it's not even made with orange.
It doesn't. I don't care.
I
It's 10%
I've
juice.
s-
Simply Orange juice. I don't care. It's
Dave,
del-
I am
I'm
convinced that smoked flavoring is a fucking chemical spray.
it's fine. It's
No, RFK got the smoked flavoring out of my cheese, Dave. I'm
it's
telling you.
still there.
It's
I bought
still there. No, Dave.
a gallon. I think it was a gallon of Simply orange juice because I can't do
12
the
bucks.
dude. It was like 12, $13. Holy shit! It's oranges, man. Oranges. They're not hand picked and hand squeezed. I promise you.
Dave, it's because the illegals aren't in the country. Orange juice
Is
is
that
so
is that it?
expensive.
Is that why? But the problem is I don't follow items individually like I should have. So it's just $12. It could have been $12 10 years ago. I have no
It
idea.
was not $12, David. It was
I
orange.
I don't know what it was.
Do you know how
I've
many
never
fucking
paid attention.
oranges it takes to make a gallon of orange? Not that many.
You don't get a lot of juice out of an orange.
Dude, how many oranges do you think they fucking can make?
How many oranges can we make?
Yeah, how many oranges are in America?
Oh my god, it's got to be like
A billion. There's gotta be
no.
like a billion.
Is it billion?
It's gotta be.
There's
Dude,
no
how much
way.
orange? There's gotta be a billion oranges in the country.
There's no way anybody has an answer for this.
I looked up how many cows there was once. It was a great number.
Holy, it's
What? What?
it's rating it in tons. It said in 23-24, the United States produced about 2.5 million metric tons of oranges.
Yeah, fuck you. That's way more than a billion oranges.
In the United States, orange production has decreased significantly since 2000 when it was almost 13 billion tons. Holy fuck. Could you imagine? Well, no wonders it's $12 a gallon and it wasn't before. We went from
Yeah,
13
less
billion tons
oranges.
to 2.5 million tons. That is such a huge difference. That's crazy. What happened to the oranges?
They just that's
Where did our oranges go, right?
maybe they had to kill off all the orange juices trees, Dave, for COVID.
They just grow on trees. Why aren't they growing? Did we cut the trees down or are the trees not
How
producing
many,
like they used to? Or are
how
the
many billions of tons of oranges did we lose? A billion tons of.
or do we just collect less oranges? Are we making the same amount? Hold on. Now we're
Maybe
going
the
down rabbit hole.
GMO oranges, David, yield more juice, David. The Bill Gates oranges are better oranges.
Orange production is significantly down, primarily due to the widespread spread of a bacterial disease called citrus greening, which has devastated orange groves across the globe. Oh no, the citrus greening, Ryan, is taking us out.
It's not global warming.
Nope, citrus greening. But don't worry, regions like Brazil are facing similar
Completely immune.
challenges.
Yeah, yeah. So the orange juice is gonna keep going down. That's
Hurricanes and
amazing.
freezing temperatures further contribute to the decline in orange production.
I thought it was getting hotter on the
No,
globe,
it's
David.
it's not warming, Ryan. It's changing.
For the record, Lake Erie is frozen as fuck that a boat got stuck on it.
So is Lake Erie should be warming if Florida's cooling. Like if we're talking, if it's change, right? If we're saying it's climate change, like the climates should be changing, right? So like if Florida gets colder, like we should be getting hotter. I think personally, it sounds
I don't
like
know.
all the climates are getting colder.
I just said like a week ago. That's weird for like the last month. Everybody's just gotten accustomed to living in literally like Alaska. There hasn't been less than a foot of ice and snow for over a month. It's just been frozen. All everything has a foot of snow frozen on everybody's lawn, and we're all just like, "Yeah, this is fine. We live here."
Our temperatures consistently had a minus in front of it for about 2 weeks. It's crazy. What else did I miss, Ryan? Besides low orange
Dude,
production,
Time Magazine believes that like Elon is really running the government like shadow government style.
shadow. You mean like dark shadows? Shadows are dark. MAGA, dark MAGA. Elon said dark MAGA.
He did Hitler.
Elon, dark shadow MAGA government. I think they're onto something, Ryan.
It's odd that like influence can happen. I
It's
thought of this about socialized medicine. Big Pharma wants socialized medicine.
of course they do.
Yeah, they want it because basically they can just get unlimited money to pay for all the doctors. And
Well,
I don't
who
think we'll have the same suffrage of shortages of doctors like Canada because we have so many fucking doctors and they're just gonna rock shit out. So it's just gonna be like this revolving door of medicine. And if you factor in on how unhealthy everybody is, just be a factor of cycling medicine and pharmaceutical drugs from people from like the age of 8 until they're 80.
Brian, if
So,
you remember when Obamacare took over, the insurance companies actually made out well in the deal.
mhm.
It's interesting. It's not
Hey, at
interesting.
least we got pre-existing condition covered
To
too.
me at this point it's obvious, but it is interesting that it seems like every time the government gets super involved in something, the related corporations seem to take hold and thrive in these situations. You saw it with Obamacare, insurance companies, big pharma took off. You saw it with COVID. When COVID happened, who benefited? Walmart, Amazon, right? Mom and pop shots down the drain. That's what happens when government takes over. You want to know what happens when government takes over an industry? Look at government taking over and stepping in on student loans. What happened? College became more expensive. Government regulating. Um,
Automobiles. Automobiles, electric cars.
yep. Government regulating housing. What happened? Created a big bubble. Caused a huge recession. Uh, government
Trump saw.
government trying to fix. Uh, government trying to fix after the Great Depression. Right. For the record, what brought us out of the Great Depression was World War II and nothing else. But it created a banking bubble, a financial bubble. It created big banks. So I don't know. It's just it's every time the government gets involved, what do? They're not they're not helping people clearly. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see the rubber hit the road on the other side of this.
Um, yeah,
You know,
let's
and people are saying all this stuff about Elon's only doing it to help the rich and stuff. It's like I don't know how many people think that there's these ultra wealthy people, but they're not this common thing that you think, and they can't steer all of society with money. So I think people are really under the impression that Trump has got somebody that's so smart can brainwash whole mass groups of people, and it's very actually difficult to get large groups of people to do anything collectively agreeable. So,
I don't remember the number, Ryan. You told me the number before at some point.
well, well,
Um, the amount of billionaires in the United States is it like 70, 80, 80 billionaires?
oh yeah, it's not that many.
It's not a lot. I mean, that's
Take
I know that sounds like a lot, but when you're talking about one of the world's biggest the world's biggest economy, 70 people out of 300 million are billionaires. It's not a big number. It's very rare territory to be a billionaire. I'm thinking okay, I don't know what the best plan is here, Ryan. We've been gone. It's been hard to pay attention.
yeah. Well, I think more than anything, it's just good to check in. And
One thing I did see though, Ryan, this bothered me. Everyone's favorite, Zelensky. NATO is the most cost-effective option for preventing another war. It is the
how's that guy
simplest.
gonna say that when he came here asked for more fucking money after we get fucked it? Sorry, dude. It's unreal.
It's the simplest and most logical solution. If Ukraine does not join NATO, we will have to create NATO within Ukraine, which means maintaining an army strong enough to repel aggression, financing it, producing and storing enough of our own weapons, and negotiating with our partners about their participation to deter Russia from starting another war. So, hold on, just so we're clear.
Isn't that what
Zelensky,
being a country is?
Zelensky is saying if we can't join NATO, we're going to have to, like, I don't know, man, take care of ourselves. Are you fucking with me? Are you serious? This is their nation's leader. Oh man, if NATO doesn't
Popular
do it for
expression.
us, we're gonna have our own military and like pay for it, create our own weapons and store them places. Yeah, that's what countries do, Zelensky. I'm sorry.
That guy was the actor, right? Here we are.
This can't be serious. This cannot be a serious person in charge. That's not what somebody serious says. I just can't. I can't imagine taking over, right? You've won a definitely super fair election. Definitely wasn't rigged. You win an election, you get in power, and you're immediately surprised that your country has to do its own stuff. It's the military. It's probably one of the most important things you need to provide.
Safety, man. It's
To
crazy.
me, the military is one of the few legitimate uses of government is to control a military. I just I'm sorry if maybe this guy is a serious. s- I just it just doesn't seem real. The American people stand with you. No, we don't. We literally just had an election about this. We don't. We specifically do not stand with Ukraine. Fucking.
That's why they keep trying to change it, man. Gotta make you question history.
Dan Bongino. It seems like he's going to leave his podcast because Trump has called upon him to serve his country.
Wow.
Good for that. Good for that dude. Deputy Director of the FBI.
Wow. Dude, we might actually see some shit happen here.
I mean, that is a guy. I sound like Chris Collinsworth. Now here's a guy who was
Real explosive on the flat, but bad on
he
the
was
pros.
he was killing it in the podcast game. He's crushing it. And there's it's all gas, no brakes for him. Like he was not slowing down. It's not like he was like an old school, yeah, kind of. This wasn't like somebody at the tail end of their career. This guy is just getting started. Realistically, like his podcast has taken off, and he's out, dude. He's gonna abruptly, and he'll be back, no doubt. But he's just gonna get out and do his own thing. It's crazy.
So sweet.
Yeah, I don't. There was a little bit going on, but I apologize to everyone with the move coming up and everything. I just not a whole lot of me was focused on the things I'm normally focused on. I had to do the things I had to do. So we will be back in action. I will get the studio in a good shape, but for now, this is the shape that it's in. It has some very nice green and white curtains, though. Those are lovely.
You got potential in that room for sure.
It could be something. What do you think? What do you think? Gun safe? Do you make the gun safe part of it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, have the eagle right on top.
He's here. He's with me. Yeah. So we will be getting back in action, but it's been a fucking wild few weeks.
Yeah, I guess we hang it up there, eh? I don't know. Until then, Dave Ryan, December 1773, catch us on Rumble for the greatest podcast in human history. As always, David, I appreciate you guys for your time. See everybody later.
Speaking of, TikTok has come back for those who were interested in TikTok. It is back in action, Ryan. Are you getting back? Are you getting back to your thing? Have you been
I have to. I have to. I have the videos. I just haven't put them up. I've been going through the ringer myself, like everybody else. It seems, David, that February, the shortest month, has taught me the greatest lessons in the least amount of time.
I was called
It's
out.
weird.
I got called out by Buff Mike. He said, "Where the fuck you been? Where the fuck have you been, Buff Mike? You there?"
He
That's the
commented
better
on my
question.
TikTok. He's like, "Dude, nothing new." I was like, "Yeah, man." I didn't even respond because he called me out. I was nervous. It's like, man, they're waiting for me. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. David, as always, thanks for your time. I'm glad you moved in. Glad everything's kind of stabilizing. And yeah, we'll get back at it, boys. And we'll see you guys when we see you.
We'll get back into our thing.
We're on it, man. I'll see you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Peace, man.